Hi, this is commentary on Commune 1 video. The link to that video is there. Okay, the quick background: I'm using two different lists. I call my personal lists, and they're a kind of a shorthand of like a journal of sorts. Things I've experienced, thought about, interested in, links, etc., etc. I put them all on a list, or two lists really. These lists have practically the same expressions or words or phrases, etc., on both lists in different orders, and these lists get shuffled now and again. And I use these as a form of communion or communication. On the principle that my observations of life up to this time in my life, being 50 years old, have led me to see that synchronicity, there's something at work between what's internal and what is external in the world. And when a personality or an individual is in tune with that synchronicity, in sync with it, their life becomes somewhat easier, somewhat more, you're more able to accept what comes along as part of the whole. So using these two lists in as randomly as possible, by using my page down button and also my arrow down or up, page up, arrow up, depending on whatever. And I also tend not to look at the screen until I've stopped paging down or arrowing down. Paging down drops you page by page. Arrowing goes through the list like that. So this is what I was doing with this. I've been doing this kind of communication technique for quite some time. It developed from another process of communication I use, which at this time I won't get into, but I would like to talk about at some later date in a video. But for now, this technique has evolved from that other form of communication. But generally what it's doing is helping me as an individual. It's helping in many ways in my daily life. I don't always do it daily. I used to, but as you progress, it becomes less of a necessity, if you like, less of something that I need on a daily basis. So the reason I'm sharing it is because there may be folk out there that may come across this in their own serendipity and develop or use the same principle for themselves. Put those things that they're interested in, those things that they've experienced, and put them onto their own lists and use that as a form of communication. The other aspect of it is also in a scientific point, from a science point of view. I fully think that people could use, if people could, and believe me, it's something that you have to really be interested in, because there is a bit of work involved with it. But if people in general got into this, they would discover for themselves in their own subjective way that it works, that it is provable, scientifically speaking, it's measurable. But also I think that people could interact using their lists as well, and I've done it myself with at least one individual. That different individuals who use this type of well, what do you call it? Well, anyway, to use this in relation with each other live on through the internet would have similar results as an individual would have. So it doesn't necessarily need to only be subjective. It can be objective too within the group and tested that way. So having said that wee bit of background, I will now go through the actual and put some commentary on the communion I had, which I called ComOnCom1, which I did yesterday and put on the internet. I'm going to go through it now and explain from my perspective what the message means to me. So the first word up was avatar, and in general what an avatar means to me, the concept is that consciousness, well, if you look at the movie, for example, the Avatar movie, the consciousness of the soldier went into the form of the native, and so the soldier's consciousness became animated the form, and the consciousness was experiencing what it was like to be that form for a specific role, etc., etc. The movie unfolds, but to me that's what, in general, avatar means. We are all avatars in the sense that we are consciousness within form, and that is not the form or the brain within the form that is actually responsible for creating the consciousness. There hasn't been a lot of scientific study on that particular thing, so this is more in the realm of belief system than in hard factual evidential science, because science in general doesn't go down that path to examine it enough, and in some ways science thinks it is already expressing that it has the answer and it's all in the brain, and that consciousness cannot exist outside of this grey matter here. But that's a still under debate in a sense. But from my perspective and from my own experience, I am consciousness within this particular form, and that is the avatar aspect, as I understand it. So avatar was the first word, the first on the list that came up. The next one was FSZ, which signifies that it's a first source document, and it's the paragraph Z. So I open the document, go to the paragraph that's under the heading Z, and it reads thus: I will leave to others to define the psychological wisdom and common sense behaviours of success. My words penetrate elsewhere, to a place within you that is susceptible, innocent, faithful, and ever listening for a tonal hint of my presence. When it is found, this part of you, like an instrument entrained by a powerful resonance, will vibrate in accordance to my voice. What this is saying in relation to avatar, or however it's pronounced, is that the consciousness that I am and you are and we are in our true state is first source. So to carry on, all of your religions teach the worship of a deity and the doctrine of human salvation. It is the underlying kinship of your planet's religions. However, I am not the deity that your worship falls upon, nor am I the creator of your doctrines of human salvation. Worship of me in coin or moral consideration is unnecessary. Simply express your authentic feelings of appreciation to my inmost presence within you and others, and you broadcast your worship unfailingly into my realm. This feeling that you should seek. This is the feeling that you should seek and to preserve in the face of life's distractions. This is a revelation of my heart to your heart. Live in clarity, live in purpose, live in the knowledge that you are in me and I am in you, and that there is no place separate from our heart. Now, in the sense that in you and you and me thing is a separate thing. So what it's really saying is that we are one. There's no difference. In relation to the worship aspect, it's a word that I've come not to really appreciate or like very much, because I don't. I've been through the experiences of I've been going through the religion that looks outwards there to the external and wants salvation in a sense, and is told to worship these concepts of what God is. So even in the writings with the first source, and these first source writings come from wingmakers.com, and they can be found there. These are simply called writings attributed to the first source, and the first source in the sense is the thing which created all things, and which is all things, and which is in all things, like consciousness. So we'll carry on. Then I went to the list, randomly paging down, stopped, had a look at the screen, and it's here again. Express your authentic feelings of appreciation to my inmost presence within you and others. Obviously at some stage I've appreciated that particular part of the first source Z paragraph, because it's mentioned in the paragraph, and then I appreciated it enough to copy and paste that particular line. Express your authentic feelings of appreciation to my inmost presence within you and others. So I've come to see that that's an important part for me personally, so I put it on my list. And there, straight after going to the paragraph that I read out, there's a sense of reinforcing that particular line, all randomly, mind you. So you can see here where the message is coming through. It's on many layers and many levels, but it is definitely pointing towards something is in this method, if you like, that is showing that random doesn't really exist in this universe. Everything is ordered. So the next word is code, but before that I noticed that I'm also using the down arrow and up arrow, and that doesn't flick through as fast. That goes through as quickly as you push it, and it stopped at different words. And if I was to pause the video, the Commune 1 video, I can see where that cursor has been stopping between between where I eventually take my finger off, and in the next word between express your authentic feelings of appreciation and the next word being code, there were other words also stopped at, which can conceivably be part of the message. I haven't included them here because I sort of noticed it as I was watching the video, and noticed and stopped and thought, oh yes, okay, that's part of it, but for it's something that I can look at a little later, but I just wanted to touch on that. So anyway, so this expressing your authentic feelings and appreciation is like a code and a counsel which is the next word, council. And then the next expression after that is the coherent correlation of this communion process, the circle, even as an elemental principle. Light body merging with the data. Live in the knowledge. And then it says James and Mark 2, which refers to a document, which within the document is James and Mark had 3 different sessions on the same day. So this was session 2. So I opened the doc and select at random info relating to the interview session 2, which I did, and which went to 2.1, which is headed religions, which is a section which I've also put on YouTube. I put all of the in sections of these particular interviews. Now, James and Mark are aspects of wing makers. Again, I'm not going to get too involved at this stage with the wing maker element of my interest in wing makers. Suffice to say that that's where it went, and it was talking about religions, and you can hear the link is there, you can hear, but there's 2 parts of that part of the session underlined religions, where Mark is obviously asked about religions, and James responds, anytime you speak about world religions, I'm not sure how to respond, because I don't want to insult anyone, nor do I wish to make comparisons that are subjectively unfair, which leaves little room for statements of any kind. More of religions compete more than they seek to harmonize. As I've said before, the key is activation of the connection between ego personality and the higher self, and the animating spirit that flows between them. Once this activation occurs, what religion you are is quite academic, much the same way as it doesn't matter what your citizenship is when you visit outer space, which is an interesting expression in itself. So there's more to that interview under the heading of religion, but those were the 2 aspects that I thought were interesting when I compiled those into video form. So then it's back to the lists, and the next expression is I think so anywho, with a smiley face. I have light-hearted expressions within the list, and that's one of them, but it's just saying that he agrees with the above remarks about religion, or it, or the higher self, or this interaction that's happening. That it is absolutely perfectly beautiful. Learn well, a bridge over time. All plan will prove itself true or false. Indeed. What does that mean? Is it gobbledygook? No, for me it is learn well, a bridge. It's like a bridge. You learn it, you bridge yourself over the religious question, and you move on. Over time, all the plan, it will prove itself true or false. The religion, or anything for that matter, will eventually over time prove itself to be true or false. Then it moves into, I'll just check the timing on this. I don't think I have a limited time. No, I don't. We've got 20 minutes anyway, so I might leave it at that, and then I'll have another commentary, because we've got nearly 20 minutes, because it moves into another area within the communication. So I'll leave it at that for this part, and I'll continue making commentary on Commune 1 video 2.